Talk to me, Michele, on the streetlights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Talk to Me, Michele, the podcast where we sift the truth, serve the tea, and keep the potato salad raisin-free, as God intended. I'm your host, Michele, podcast producer, professional peace protector, and the woman who knows when to block, bless, or barbecue. Now, before we dig into today's very necessary conversation, I've got a little special announcement, and this one's for your soul and your self-care stash. My new coloring book, Color Me Unbothered, is officially available. That's right, it's bold, beautiful, grown woman coloring experience created for us by one of us, myself. This ain't your granny's coloring book unless your granny wears hoop earrings and sets boundaries with love. Color Me Unbothered is all about peace, power, and personality. And the pages are full of affirmations, sass, soft life energy, now available on Amazon, so go ahead and grab your copy for yourself, your girls, and that one cousin who needs to color instead of clap back. Now let's talk about today's episode. We're dived into a cultural phrase that's been passed around more than a to-go plate at a black family function. You're invited to the barbecue. Now, if you know, you know. But if you don't worry, we're going to break it down, what it really means, why it matters, and who actually gets the invite. Because let me tell you something, just vibing to Kendrick Lamar does not mean you understand the assignment. But first, this week's letter of the week. Hey, Michele, I had a silly argument with a friend a while ago, and I do mean silly, like who forgot to bring the wine silly, but somehow it escalated. She got personal, and next thing I know, she's sending screenshots of my old social media posts to my job, trying to get me fired. HR called me in and everything. Luckily, I didn't lose my job, but now that I know that she did it, I want to know what I can do, like legally, emotionally, spiritually, even help. Now that's not a friend. That's an unpaid villain. First of all, what type of discount Disney villain goes digging through Instagram like they're on a federal task force? You filed over something light and she jumped straight into sabotage. Oh, so that means she's been plotting. She's been plotting on you. She got a folder on you and everything. Trust me. I'm going to be very clear. Depending on what she sent, you might technically have a case of defamation, emotional distress, interference with employment. But honestly, suing her might cost more than her whole bank account and her lace front. But this is what you can do. You can block on every platform, like you clearing out all the bad energy before a full moon. Make sure you get screenshots of her pettiness just in case you ever need to hand to HR again. And take this as a blessing. You got rid of somebody who was jealous in silence and messy in private. So once someone shows you that they are willing to risk your job to win an argument, that's not beef, that's spiritual warfare. So protect your peace at all costs. Anyway, speaking of folks who don't belong around your grill or your glow up, let's get into the main dish of today's episode. When we say you're invited to the barbecue, what we're saying is we see you, we trust you, you're not performing, you get it. You respect the culture, you understand the space, and you're not here to exploit it. And here's the thing, not everyone gets the invite. It's earned, not assumed. Just because you know all the lyrics to back that thing up does not mean you're culturally fluent. So grab your red cup, pass the hot sauce, and settle in. Because today we're breaking down who's on the guest list and who's outside trying to peek through the fence. So let's go ahead and break it all the way down. When we say the barbecue, we're not just talking about a grill, a bag of charcoal, or somebody's uncle with his shirt off, a sweat towel over his shoulder, flipping ribs like he's on the Food Network. This is a vibe. The barbecue is a vibe. It's a whole ecosystem of Black joy, family, history, and survival, all rolled into one aluminum pan covered in foil. Now, literally, yes, it's a cookout, the fish fry, the block party. It's where we all show up in matching t-shirts for a family reunion and act like we don't know half the people in the group picture. It's card tables and coolers. It's Cousin D walking in 3 hours late with nothing but ice, but still leaves with 2 plates. But metaphorically, the barbecue is a sacred space. It's one of the few places where Black folks get to be unapologetically ourselves. No code switching, no corporate voice, no explaining why your hair grew 3 inches overnight. At the barbecue, your soul gets to exhale. And don't get it twisted. Yes, there's food. And yes, the ribs better be right. But the real meal is the community. You've got music. I guarantee you, Frankie, Beverly, and Maze will absolutely play at some point. And if you don't sway side to side when it comes on, you will be asked to leave. There will be spades, and that's considered a contact sport. Ain't no learning at the table. You either know how to play or go sit with the kids. And the debates, whether sugar goes in grits, if Kirk Franklin is still gospel, and why you still ain't bring your new boo around, will be on discussion. And auntie laughs, I mean the kind of laughs that are echoing down the block before the joke even lands. And here's the deeper truth. The barbecue is a cultural trust circle. It's where the secrets are shared, the healing happens, generational wisdom is passed down between bites of mac. It's unspoken therapy session where Black folks process life, laugh through pain, dance in the middle of the storm with a red cup in one hand and a paper plate in the other. So when we say you're invited to the barbecue, that's not just a casual phrase. That's saying you're trusted, you are seen, you're someone we can laugh with and lean on. You're not here to appropriate. You're here to appreciate. You can sit at our table without rearranging the menu. Because access to the barbecue is access to the culture. And we don't hand out that RSVP lightly. Not everybody deserves a plate. And that's on soul food and principle. Now that we've talked about what the barbecue really means, let's get into a little segment I like to call Who Said You Could Come? This is not Coachella. You can't just buy tickets to the culture. Now, some people out here are confusing appreciation with cosplay. Appreciation is when you respect the culture, you uplift the people, and understand the roots. You show up, you listen, you learn, and you don't try to make it about you. Appropriation, that's when you snatch the look, remix the slang, copy the moves. But never say our names, never credit the source, and absolutely never show up when it's time to speak up or show out for Black lives. Appropriation is basically, I love Black culture. I just don't want to deal with Black people or their problems. And for that, you don't get a plate. That gets you a polite nod from the sidewalk. You want some receipts? Let's talk about the repeat offenders who keep trying to sneak into the barbecue wearing our culture like a Forever 21 outfit. Exhibit A, Iggy Azalea. Girl, the accent alone was a felony. That fake southern drawl slid off the mic and back into Australia the moment them Billboard Awards dried up. Exhibit B, Justin Bieber. 1 minute he's running with little twists, sagging his pants and saying swag, and next he's posting long apologies and turtlenecks. Sir, the culture is not a personality phase. Exhibit C, the entire year of 2010 for Kim Kardashian. She discovered boxer braids like they were a new invention. And girl, your glam team owes Black women 10 years of reparations and a pan of peach cobbler. And let's not forget the internet influencers who got famous off doing TikTok dances created by Black teens. Then somehow ended up on talk shows with zero rhythm, even less credit-giving energy. I also see this performative allyship. When I say that, it's like people posting a Black square on Instagram back in 2020. That does not get you an invite. Saying I see you sis once a year does not make you a soul sister. And having one Black friend does not mean you're in. Especially if your idea of activism is reposting quotes from Angela Davis while actually never confronting your racist uncle at Thanksgiving. You can't be invited in if you only show up for the music, the fashion, and the lingo. But ghost us when it's time to fight for our rights, our safety, or a seat at the table. Performative allyship is just cultural loitering, hanging around without actually contributing anything meaningful. They get politely smiled at and shown right to the gate. Now, the real allies, the ones who do get the invite, they don't need to ask for a plate. They're too busy showing up off camera, having hard conversations, voting the right way, and knowing when to lead from behind. Because here's the thing, you don't earn a spot at the barbecue wearing box braids or quoting Tupac. You earn it by respecting the culture where there's no camera around. And if that hit you a little in the chest, just a little bit, that's good. That means your invite is still pending. So now that we've covered the barbecue and who is definitely not on the guest list, looking at you culture vultures anonymously. But to be fair, because this episode ain't just about side eyes and revoked invites. It's about recognizing those rare, precious few who ain't black, but who get it. Like, really truthfully and soulfully get it. People who just don't show up for the culture. They show up with it. They protect it. They respect it. And they don't do it for likes or hashtag or performative cookies. They do it because they understand that the allyship is action, not aesthetics. These are the ones we pull to the side, hand them a paper plate heavy with ribs, potato salad without raisins, and whisper, "You good? We see you? Go ahead and sit by Aunt Cheryl over there." Who has earned their plate? Now let's run through a few honorary barbecue guests who understood the assignment. Jon Stewart. Yes, that John. White, middle-aged, Jewish, and still managed to drag Congress, call racism out in the system, and advocate harder for black issues than some folks with melon. He's been using his platform for decades to shine light on inequality and not look at the being woke moment way, but this is some type of bullshit way. And it needs to be addressed kind of way. That's barbecue behavior right there. You get the potato salad and the peach cobbler, John. Jane Elliott. I had the pleasure with my sister to interview Jane Elliott. This woman is a powerhouse. She is the white lady you wish would show up to your diversity training. Y'all gonna learn today, if y'all don't know who she is, and started flipping racial bias on its head before it was trending. And she's been dragging racism on an overhead projector with a blue-eyed experiment since the 1970s. She doesn't want medals. She wants you to open a book. Jane, your seat is saved right next to the Domino's table. I got to give some honorable mentions to Gary Chambers Jr., loud, proud, unapologetic, and dragging white supremacy in a blazer with a fresh haircut. Yes, he's black, but still, give that man 2 plates. Tim Wise, another white man who said, "I'ma use these southern roots to fight racism, not uphold it." And then there's Rachel Dolezal, and baby, we not gonna even do that today. You braided your way into delusion, and now you're in timeout. You do not get a plate, but we might let you drop off some napkins. So I'm going to go ahead and build this out real quick. Here's my mock invite list. Let's call it the "you can sit with us" table list, all right? Jon Stewart gets to sit next to Unc and argue about politics over ribs. Jane Elliott, she's probably hosting a mini seminar by the grill, okay? And Jack Black, yes, Jack Black, who's been dancing with rhythm, giving black artists credit and minding his business. He brings the good energy and probably the loudest laugh at the cookout. Now, Doja Cat, she could bring a plate, but she gotta stay by the gate and vibe until further notice, all right? We watching you, sis. So I threw out this question on my Instagram stories. Who would you invite to the cookout? And y'all had some thoughts, but I'm going to give you a few selections I gave the audience, which was Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak, Billy the Nile, and Paul Rudd. Of course, Bruno Mars won by a landslide, but then I had a couple other suggestions. Number one, the one person who said Taylor Swift, she can go pick her plate up at the drive-thru. We're not ready for that yet. Now, getting an invite to the barbecue ain't about trend hopping. It ain't about knowing how to milli rock or throwing up the first emoji once a year. It's about showing up consistently, compassionately, and quietly when needed. It's about listening more than speaking, giving more than taking, and knowing when to pass the mic. You earned this seat because you value the table, not because you wanted to sit here, but because you understood why it's sacred. So we've been laughing, side-eyeing, and building our imaginary guest list for the blackest barbecue on this side of Beyonce's internet. But let's slow the music down real quick and talk about what the invitation actually means. Because you're invited to the barbecue is not just a cute, clever phrase that we throw around for clout or Twitter laughs. It's cultural currency. It's a love language. It's a whole vibe wrapped in kinship, trust, and safety. And we don't extend that kind of invitation lightly. It's like spiritual TSA clearance. You've been through the culture check. No, you don't have to know the electric slide perfectly, but you better know when to get out of the way when you see it starting. Because when Black folks say you can sit with us, what we are saying is you showed up without showing out. You didn't make it about you. You didn't perform. You didn't cherry pick the parts of the culture that are fun while dodging the parts that are hard. That earns a folding chair and a full plate. So let's go ahead and call a few things out. There's a big difference between being included and being trusted. Surface level inclusion is I invited you because HR said we needed more diversity on the guest list. Deep cultural respect is I see how you move when nobody's watching. I see how you correct people, how you educate yourself, how you show up when it's uncomfortable, and I respect you for that. Our community has had to protect ourselves in every space we've entered. Schools, offices, neighborhoods, the damn comment section. So if we create a safe space, whether it be a barbecue or some AI type of space, it's ours. It's where we can be loud, quiet, soft, ratchet, spiritual, messy, brilliant, still a whole vibe. So letting someone come into that's not casual. It's ceremonial, it's earned, and it's deeply personal. If we invite you in, it's because you've shown that you can laugh with us, learn from us, speak up for us, and step back when that moment calls for it. You don't have to be Black to be invited, but you do have to be real, respectful, and ready to listen more than you speak. So if there's anybody out there wondering if you've been invited, I will say this. If you're asking, you probably haven't. If you're still listening, learning, and doing the work without needing applause, you might just be the next one in line for a plate. All right, let's bring this barbecue to a close. The ribs have been served, the spades game is heated, and the music's faded into that sweet spot between Frankie Beverly and a Luther slow jam. The bottom line is when Black folks say you're invited to the barbecue, we're not just talking about showing up for a plate. We're talking about being seen, being trusted, and being welcome in a space that has historically had protection itself. This phrase is a cultural shorthand. It's how we say you're not just watching the culture, you're walking with it. You respect the people, you respect the pain, and you show up with love, not ego. Because the culture is not a costume. It's not something you put on for clout or take off when it gets too inconvenient. We don't need allies with rhythm. We need allies with integrity. You ain't got to twerk or, quote, Tupac to be invited. But you do need to be consistent, compassionate, and down to shut up and listen when it calls for it. And let me say this again for the people in the back. You don't need to be invited to the barbecue to be an ally. Not everybody has to pull up to the cookout. Some folks just need to respect it from the sidewalk. And that's okay. But if you do show up, please don't bring raisins in the potato salad. We are trying to heal, not get triggered. Now, before I go, I want to hear from you. Who's on your barbecue guest list? Who's that non-Black friend, coworker, or public figure you'd hand a plate to without hesitation? Slide into my DMs, tag me, or drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm Talk to Me Michele on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't forget to grab your copy of Color Me Unbothered, the adult coloring book made for grown women who are done explaining, drained by drama, and deep into their peace era. It's bold, beautiful, and full of affirmation, sass, and soft life energy. Now available on Amazon because healing should have color and boundaries should have glitter. Go get yours and tell a friend. Color Me Unbothered is a self-care you can shade in. So until next time, keep your grill hot, your circle tight, and your energy protected. I'm out. Peace.
Talk to me, Michele.